everybody, this is Darren Redmond for Morning Glory, brought to you by the new Cigar Mas Fino. Cigar Mas Fino, as you know, is located on the corner of Cedar and Nees. The people that were there for the Super Bowl all reported back what a great time they had. The buffet was delicious. Just a great place. If you are a business person, woman or man, and you want to have a business meeting and the person likes to enjoy maybe a nice cigar, maybe a nice drink or two, what a great place to go. And we appreciate their sponsorship. Darren Redmond's Morning Glory, also, as you know, brought to you by us, FHT Sports, sponsored by Cigar Mas Fino. So, we want to talk about a couple of things today, this morning, live, noon on Eastern Time. So those of you having lunch, thank you for sharing it with me. And while we'll be talking today about things that are kind of local to Fresno and around Fresno, they really speak volumes to things that happen nationally. Because really, what are we but an amalgamation of different villages and towns that have local things going on at the same time. So let's first talk about the Fresno State basketball game last evening at the Saymont Center. As I was driving past the Saymont Center, I had some responsibilities last evening, so I was not at the game. And we saw the crowd there. I was worried because it's funny about expectations, right? You can look at things so many different ways. And we're starting to see nicer crowds there. Instead of 3,000 people, we got 5 or 6, sometimes 8 to 9. Last night, a big rivalry game, Mountain West, Utah State. We only had 5,000 people there. And there are some people who think that was brilliant. But people, we have a nice team here, and we're going to talk about some of the things that we need to worry about, some red flags, some of the nuance that maybe you're not going to get from the people who only like to show up when there are league games. And you know who you are. So, Fresno State is not good enough right now to allow teams, especially in their conference, to jump out ahead. And when you find yourself coming back from 14 points, because if anybody knows in basketball, especially college basketball, 20 minutes each half, everything else, there's an ebb and a flow. So you can have a different set, or you can be trying some different things. Early on, a team can get a run going. You can put in some replacements, who's in foul trouble, and then we can do some things. We're going to talk some specifics in a second. But now, Fresno State falls to 16-6 on the season. Still a very good season, but some of the bloom is off the rose. But nobody should look at this and start walking away right now. That would be absolutely foolish. When I'm telling you at 1 minute that now they're 16-6, but there's only 5,000 people there, you should continue to go and build that momentum. 7-3 in the Mountain West. Again, some of the people that cover the Fresno State basketball team and Coach Hudson's team that's out there each evening, they only seem to want to go when the Mountain West schedule begins because of whatever reason. They're way too busy to actually care about other games, I guess. So what happens here is you have a big opponent at home. Second place, you beat them by 1 on the road, and they come here and they beat you by 1. But let's be honest, they really beat you by 4. That last 3-pointer was just who cares, and nobody was guarding you, which was smart, so there would not be a penalty and a 4-point basket potential. 3 points and then 1 at the line. So, what does this mean right now for Coach Hudson? Coach Hudson said this at the beginning of the year, and I think he's right. I mean, I see this team finishing, 10 games over 500, 12 games over 500 overall. They're 7-3 right now in conference play. They'll probably finish 2nd or 3rd in the conference. The way that this team makes the trip, makes it to the dance, the 64, is by winning the Mountain West Conference. It doesn't mean that these games aren't important because everything will be looked at, but you lost a key game at home. Never, ever give the selection committee a reason to void you out. And that's what you did last night. You said, hey, conference play, we lost at home. So unless somebody is looking for a reason to put you in, they'll look at the fact that Utah State lost at home to you as well. But if they're looking for a reason to kick you out, they will say you lost at home. And that's what was so damaging about last night's Fresno State loss, was you lost at home to your rival, and you gave them a reason. Thank you, brother. And you gave them a reason, the selection committee, if they want to boot you out. So how do you overcome this? I make it sound easier than it is, but if you win your conference, it's an automatic bid. Can you beat Nevada? Sure you can. Can you beat Utah State? Sure you can. You have already. So just go out there with that mindset. Figure out what you need to do to win that conference, and everything else should take care of itself. So let's talk a little. So that's what's going on there. My hope is, again, you don't fall behind early. Another thing that we did, look, there were some hot shooters from distance last night at Utah State. And it was funny, when I rewatched it, I just want to make sure what I was seeing the first time was accurate. And yeah, there was, look, you don't want to get too close, because then you're vulnerable to some passes and some quick movement into the paint. But I found that there was a little bit of distance, and I would imagine Coach Hudson would think the same. A little too much distance in allowing the shooters to back up, get a good view of things, and so they got good looks at the basket. Every shot seemed not to be contested. That was from distance. Little too much room. Now that's something that is easily correctable. And again, you can't fall behind so much and hope to catch up. Because remember, early in the second half, Fresno State was up by 2 or 3. But then what happens? Utah State gets a run. So that's what's going on there. I want to talk to you about the Monsters 3, 3, and 3. The Fresno Monsters, as you know, are sitting right now point-wise in first place in the division in the WSHL, but we all know Long Beach has a lot of games in hand, so that's sort of gorilla dust, right? That's sort of that false praise that we give. That's like telling somebody, who is a part of any sort of individual tournament or individual sort of a play, and they go first. They're in first. No, you went first. There are other people that come, so let's put it into sort of perspective. So Long Beach, again, they have a lot of games in hand. We'll see what happens there. But here's the 3. I'm going to talk a little bit as a athlete. I played at a decent level, and we're going to talk about some other things. So what's the 3-3-3? And nobody's talking about this. And the B's not going to talk about this because they don't care. And a lot of others aren't going to talk about this, but I will, because Fresno Monsters are just a brilliant team to watch, and it's all about hockey here in Fresno. Here's the 3-3-3. You have 3 games in 3 different cities over the course of 3 nights. There's a third 3, and then there's a fourth 3. 3 weeks off after that. Wow. So you take the bus down to Valencia, play the Flyers. Now that's a game. I'll just say it. That's a game that you're playing against people that you might be traded for. And if you have this sort of woe is me, or I'm more important than everybody, remember, we still call them sweaters in the Redmond household. The name on the front is much more important than the name on the back. And I don't care if you're in juniors or in the NHL. It's not about you. When you get on that ice and you wear another name on the front of your sweater, it's about the team. Now, nobody wants to be traded. Nobody likes if their playing time is affected. But long-term goals beat short-term gains. If you look at it from a team approach, why might this be happening? What's going on? Do they have somebody over there that maybe could replace me, that makes me vulnerable? Don't tense up. If you're going to move into the corporate world one day, that's the corporate world. There's always going to be somebody who thinks they're a little smarter, a little better than you. But what you have to learn is, if you can't get along with in a locker room and a team kind of perspective, it always ends up badly. no matter how talented a person is. No matter how talented a person is. Because when you go into the corporate world, you have to ride that line between being an asset to the team and standing out individually. And it's not an easy thing to do. And you're certainly not going to learn it from just a couple of minutes with Redmond's Morning Glory. It's a lifelong thing. But, so, game against Valencia, then you get in the bus, and then you go down to the San Diego Sabres. You play there, you're playing at the Isoplex. Now, you do that. This is a team that you are in contention with for second place. Chances are pretty good you'll be playing each other in the first round. Who will have home field, home ice? Who will finish second, who will finish third? So this is a very, very important game for a couple things. Tendencies, what's going on. And again, who's to say that people won't be changing sweaters within the last week? And that should not bring tension or nervousness. It's part of the process. It's always good to be wanted. If you believe somehow in your bubble of life that nobody can touch you, because remember something, if you're really good at what you do, people want you. If you're not that good at what you do, people don't want you. Either way, you're moving. Unless you fit into the synergy and long-term goals. Now again, when you talk about junior hockey, you're only there, you got a shelf life for a couple of years. You got to let yourself shine, but within a team environment. So, you have the game against the Sabres, and that's the game that I'm most concerned about. Well, actually, I'm concerned about all for different reasons. But the sandwich game, the first night on the road, what's going on there, so we'll see. But and then the next game, you're traveling back up to Ontario to play the Avalanche. And, you know, what does that look like? And sometimes people, the problem is, do you know why so many people get in accidents close to home? You might go, "Damn, what are you talking about?" Well, this is sort of, I charge a lot of money, quite frankly, when I do seminars. Very, very funny. That could be true. It was a Ron White comment about being traded to a Ron White team. So I'm going to give you a bit of free advice that I charge people, a lot for. And that is this. People rather be joyfully, and again, that doesn't mean you don't knock heads. We'll talk about that bus in a minute. Working with somebody long-term goals beat short-term gains. So when you are ready, and you're ready for whether you're going out that night, you got new line mates, maybe you got more shifts, maybe you have less shifts. Why am I here? Really ask yourself that question. So, for example, when I have sales seminars, and I've done them in Manhattan and done them out here in California, and we'll be doing more and more very shortly. And people say, well, I'm here to provide for my family. Yes. But you're here through what? You're here through the fact that you're working for another place that's giving you money. Or they'll say, I'm here to make my company the best it could be. No, you're not volunteering there, you're getting a paycheck. So there's a symbiotic relationship between you and where you work, between you and the team you play on. You don't need to like everybody. This harmonious nonsense. But what you need to do is respect each other for the passion that they bring. Now here's the thing. You might have heard this before, and I talk about this as well. The wisest person is the one who knows they don't know everything. And when you start blaming people, you've probably seen this already, where you point a finger. Well, what happens when you point a finger? You have 3 more being pointed at you. So always look at yourself 3 times as more as what could I do better than when you point, oh, the coach, oh, my teammate, oh, my linemate, oh, the new sales marketing material. 3-3-3. 3 games over 3 nights in 3 different locations. What a beautiful opportunity for teams to gel, to get on the same page, away from the distractions of Fresno. Now, you could bring distractions in, social media, this or that, well-meaning people who really just want to manipulate you into their belief system. But let me ask you this. Are they going to be on the ice when that cup is handed out? Maybe later, but not when it is. When you have to shake hands in each playoff round, are they going to be there? No. It's going to be you and your line mates. It's going to be you and your teammates. In the corporate world, it's going to be you bringing money home to the family. So, let me wrap this up. After that, there's 3 weeks of nothing. What are you prepared to do during the 3 weeks? Are you going to work a little harder? Are you going to take a couple of days off? Which sometimes that's not a bad thing. Are you going to get yourself ready for the playoffs? Fans, Monster fans, are you going to make sure that you sell out Gateway Ice Center? Or are you going to come up with narratives and conspiracy theories and everything else? Can you look at yourself without saying me? Meaning, what can I do better to help the team, thus make myself better? And there will be trades. Monsters might be part of them, they might not be. But you can't stick your head under the pillow and pretend it's not happening, or somehow look at it like you're a victim. It happens. It's part of the process. It's why we move from travel sports to the juniors. It's why we move from travel sports to the juniors. Correct. That's right. Very good. Or can I? Absolutely right. So the deal is, over the next 3 weeks, we have 3 games. We have 3 games, 3 different locations, a lot of time on the bus. A lot of time on the bus for people to gel, to work out symmetry. And again, you don't need to like everybody. But this is the start of the playoff push for the Fresno Monsters. FHT Sports with, of course, the hockey guru Serge Bogosian at the top of the mountain here. We'll be covering this thing with a fine-tooth comb. One thing we won't be doing is talking about conspiracy theories. We will have opinion, but we're going to be covering what's going on. And no, we have not yet received the email or phone call from the commissioner. Just want to keep posting on that. So Monsters, if you're unhealthy, get healthy. If you're injured, now's the time after these next 3 games. Win these 3 games. Go into the trading deadline with the understanding that you're playing at your best. One way or another. You get stay or you go. Remember this. Listen, I've been fired. I've been moved within. I've worked for companies, Fortune 50 companies like Dun & Bradstreet. I've moved within departments. So when I moved from one department to another department, the reality is one department wanted me more than the other. So I could look at things and say to myself, wait a minute, they didn't want me. I'm like, no, these people wanted me. And when you come in to a new environment, hey, listen, 12 years ago, get a little personal for a second. 12 years ago, and this is for you, Fresno Monsters, Fresno Monster fans, because we have a big playoff push coming up. And quite frankly, Fresno State basketball as well, listen up. 12 years ago, we moved 3,000 miles. There was no Uncle Freddie, there was no Aunt Susie, there was no in-laws up the street. We knew nobody. Nobody. And I have that sort of Brooklyn, New York City, Long Island sort of attitude where, hey, everybody's a new friend possibly. And everybody, even years ago, people I call friends, people who are my friends, still like, what's your angle? And granted, we all have some sort of angle, but I'm as transparent as they come. Doesn't mean that you don't hold things back sometimes. So whenever you're in a new situation, you're the new person on the team, you're the new person in sales, you're the new person at the union job, people are going to want to size you up. And you need to understand that that is a natural thing. Please, read some of the books that I say you should read. You might look at things a little different. But it's not a woe is me. It's an opportunity to refine yourself. Have I become a little stoic in my approach? What can I do better without blaming a conspiracy or they're out to get me? Oh, is that tiring and boring? Remember this. I learned that a long time ago. This. Zig Ziglar. You point your finger at somebody with an accusation, 3 times as much you should be looking back at yourself. Fresno Monsters, 3-3-3. Let's win these 3 games on the road. Enjoy 3 weeks off. Get ready for the playoff push. This is Darren Redmond from FHT Sports, brought to you by the new Cigar Masfino.